Dear students, in this video, I will be discussing with you about nuclear force and binding energy. Students, in our previous video, we have discussed that in the breakdown of the Rutherford scattering formula, when alpha particles with energy more than 27 mega electron volt, they are bombarded on the metal foil, then the Rutherford scattering formula no longer holds. At that point of the breakdown, the energy at which that breakdown occurs can be used to estimate the size of the nucleus. And when we do the calculations, we find that for that particular case, the nuclear size came out to be approximately 8.7 femtometer. Okay. So now, according to Rutherford nuclear model of the atom, the structure of atom is something like this. Suppose if this is your atom, then inside the atom you have a positive core which contains a positive charge, that is protons. Okay, and outside that positive core you have negatively charged uniformly distributed. So this is the model of the atom that Rutherford gave in the year 1911. But later on, when isotopes were discovered, it was found that inside the nucleus there is also a neutral matter that is known as neutron. Okay, so the structure of nucleus was modified, and inside the nucleus, suppose now I will only consider the nucleus. Suppose if this is my nucleus, then the nucleus will contain protons and neutrons. Okay, where your proton is positively charged and your neutron is neutral. So student, here the first question that comes into your mind is that how two protons can exist inside a nucleus, because they must fly apart due to Coulomb repulsion. Because in your electrostatic course you have studied that like charges repel each other, and you know that protons are positively charged. Okay, if protons are positively charged, then two protons cannot exist inside the nucleus, but in a nucleus they do exist. So what make them happen that two protons can exist inside the nucleus? The basic reason for this is the strong nuclear force. Strong nuclear force. So what is strong nuclear force? It is the force that acts between two protons, and it is basically attractive in nature. It is the attractive force that acts between two protons inside the nucleus. Because why this force is called strong? Now you know that inside the nucleus, if you have two protons, then between these two protons there will be Coulomb repulsion. You will have a Coulomb repulsion between these two protons, Coulomb repulsion. So if there is a Coulomb repulsion between these two protons, then these two protons must fly apart, but they do exist inside the nucleus. It means that there must exist some another type of force in nature that is much more stronger than the Coulomb repulsion between these two protons inside the nucleus, and that strong force is basically must be attractive in nature, so that attraction is much larger than the repulsion between two protons. Okay, it means if you have a Coulomb repulsion, then your nuclear force must be greater than this Coulomb repulsion between two. It means your nuclear attraction must be greater than the Coulomb repulsion. Nuclear attraction must be greater than the Coulomb repulsion inside the nucleus. Okay, this is I am talking only inside the nucleus. Okay. Now the next question that will come into your mind is that what will happen if you have these two protons outside the nucleus? Students, one thing that I would like to clear to you is that this nuclear force is basically very short range force. It exists only inside the nucleus, and you know that from previous lecture that size of the nucleus is of the order of femtometer. Okay, so if you increase the separation between two protons more than femtometer, then your nuclear force fall off and your Coulomb repulsion will dominate. It is because your Coulomb repulsion varies as 1 by r square. Okay, and your nuclear attraction or your nuclear force goes as 1 by r7. So if you double the distance, suppose I double the distance between two protons, so the Coulomb repulsion will be reduced to 1 by 4. if I double the distance, on doubling the distance, between two protons, so your Coulomb repulsion will become 1 by 4, but your nuclear attraction will fall 1 by 2 की power 7, that is equal to 1 upon 128. So this nuclear force which is attractive in nature, it falls off very rapidly with the distance, due to which if you increase the distance between two protons more than femtometer, then you will have not stable nuclei. They will not form a nuclei. They will only form nuclei when they are in this much very small distance, that is of the order of femtometer. So only in this range nuclear forces is dominating. Okay, so this is the fundamental force of nature. Okay, so you are familiar with the other fundamental forces of nature. You have studied gravitational force, that is fundamental force, electromagnetic force, that is also fundamental force. But here you have to consider another type of force, because otherwise you cannot explain the stability of the nucleus on the basis of electromagnetic force. So this is the third force in nature, that is strong nuclear force. So later on you will also study the fourth fundamental force in nature, that is weak nuclear force, that we will discuss in beta decay. Okay, so now I think you are familiar with the nuclear force. So there are special characteristics of the nuclear force. Your Coulomb force take care of the charge. Coulomb force only acts between two charged bodies. For example, if you have proton and proton, there is Coulomb force between proton and proton. But between proton and neutron, there is no Coulomb force. So you have Coulomb force between proton and proton. But you do not know Coulomb force between proton and neutron. No Coulomb force. I am writing in short form. Okay. But nuclear force do not take care of the charge. It is same between, it is also there between proton and proton. It is also between neutron and neutron. It is also between proton and neutron, and it is equally in magnitude. Okay. So this is the special characteristic of the nuclear force, that is do not take care of the charge, whereas Coulomb force only acts between the charged bodies. Okay, that we will discuss when we will study the exchange force model. Now the next thing is about binding energy. Now what is binding energy? Why this binding energy come into the nucleus? So for that, first of all, consider the atom. Now in atom, I consider the simplest of the atom, that is hydrogen atom. Now you know that this is the hydrogen atom. This is hydrogen atom only has a single proton. So you have single proton here in the nucleus, and you have single electron. Okay. Now in the atomic physics, you have familiar with the term ionization energy. Ionization energy. What is ionization energy? It is the energy that we will give to this atom so that the electron is knocked out. Okay, or you can say that electron is removed from this atom. And for hydrogen, you know that the energy is, for ground state energy is 13.6 electron volt. Okay. So similarly to this ionization energy in the atom, for the cases of the nuclei, we have binding energy. Okay. So what is this binding energy? Why this binding energy comes? Why nuclei have binding energy? This is due to the attractive nature of the force. So whenever you have attraction, there will be binding energy. Okay. Now consider the nucleus. Suppose I consider the nucleus ZXA of some element. This is the nucleus. Okay. So what will be the mass of this nucleus? Suppose this is m. This is the mass of this nucleus. Okay. Now from Einstein mass energy equivalence, you know that if you have a rest mass m, then the corresponding energy to that rest mass is equal to mc square. Okay. Equal to mc square. It means if you have a body with mass m, then it will be equivalent, the energy equivalent of this mass will be equal to mc square. Okay. Now this is the mass of some nuclei, let it be x nuclei, and that is z proton. What is z? Z is number of protons. Z is number of protons. So what will be number of neutrons? Number of neutrons will be a minus z. So it means that this nucleus is made from z protons. This nucleus has z is made from z protons and n neutrons. Okay. It means if I sum up the mass of z protons and n neutrons, then the mass of z protons and n neutrons will be equal to the mass of this nucleus. Okay. It means if I have Z protons and N neutrons when they are outside the nucleus. Now, when the same Z proton and N neutrons will come inside the nucleus, they will form this nucleus. It means the mass of this Z proton and N neutron must be equal to mass of this Z proton and N neutron, but actually it is not. Actually, the mass of Z protons and N neutrons is always greater than the mass of nuclei that they form. Okay, it means there is a mass defect. Okay, it means if you have Z proton and neutron, when they are separate, it means they are not inside the nucleus. Now, suppose you have Z protons here, you have N neutrons here. So you will have some mass of this Z protons and you have some mass of this N neutrons. Now, suppose you form the nuclei of these Z protons and N neutrons, then it will be like this. Nucleus will be like this. It will have Z proton and N neutron. Now, the mass of this nuclei is when it is formed from the same Z protons and N neutrons is always lesser than the mass of Z proton and N neutrons when they are outside the nucleus. It means there is some mass defect. Okay, so that mass defect is known as delta M, and it is a positive quantity for most of the times. Okay, so that is delta M. So delta M is equal to Z mass of protons plus N mass of neutron minus this mass of Z proton and N neutrons when they are inside the nucleus. Okay, so this is the mass defect. And what will be the energy corresponding to this mass defect by using Einstein mass energy equivalence? That will be delta mc square. So this delta mc square is the corresponding binding energy of the nucleus. This is known as binding energy. Okay, so I am again defining once again this very important term in a nuclear physics, that is binding energy. What is binding energy? So basically, what is binding energy? It is the mass defect time c square. Okay, so now I am writing it in terms of rest mass energy. Okay, so let me write this mass of the nucleus in terms of rest mass energy. Okay. Now suppose I have a nuclei mzxa. So if this is the mass, then what will be its rest mass energy? Into c square. Okay, now suppose I have Z protons, mass of Z proton is this. So what will be the rest mass energy? Into c square. If I have N neutrons, what will be the rest mass energy? That will be into c square. Okay. So what will be the now corresponding binding energy? Now you will have mass of Z proton plus mass of N neutrons. That is basically equal to rest mass energy of this nucleus plus C binding energy. Okay. This is what I want to say in terms of rest mass energy. Okay. So what will be binding energy? So binding energy will be Z mpc square plus N mnc square minus mzxa into c square. So this is the binding energy. This is another form of binding formula for binding energy in terms of rest mass energy of the Z protons and neutrons and the nucleus that is formed from the same Z protons and N neutrons. So what is the rest mass? What is binding energy now? So what is binding energy? It is basically the difference between the total rest mass energy of the Z protons and N neutrons when they are separate. When they are separate means when they are not inside the nucleus, and rest mass energy of the same Z proton and N neutrons when they are inside the nucleus. So you will find that total rest mass energy is somewhat larger when they are separated, and the total rest mass energy is somewhat lower when the same Z proton and N neutrons are inside the nucleus. And that difference of the rest mass energy, because I have already told you that according to Einstein mass energy equivalent energy, there is a relation equal to mc square. Okay, if you have a mass m, then the rest mass energy of that mass m will be equal to mc square. So this is known as binding energy. Now, from this formula you can clearly see that it means lower will be the rest mass energy of the nucleus. If this nucleus lowers its rest mass energy more, then its binding energy will be large. Okay, because you are subtracting the rest mass energy of the nucleus from the rest mass energy of the Z proton and N neutrons of the same nucleus. It means that the smaller value you will subtract the larger will be binding energy. It means more the nucleus lowers its rest mass energy when it is formed from Z proton and N neutrons, larger will be its binding energy. Okay, it means lower the rest mass. This is very important line. Lower the rest mass energy of the nucleus, more will be binding energy. Okay, so what is the physical significance of binding energy? You are getting this term. Okay, lower the rest mass energy. It means the more energy it lowers, the larger energy you have to provide to break. So what is the physical significance of this binding energy? Now I am going to show you the physical significance. Suppose this is nucleus. So this nucleus is made up of protons and neutrons. Okay. Now suppose this nucleus has a large binding energy. It means suppose this nucleus, let me for purpose of understanding it, this nucleus has a binding energy of suppose 5 mega electron volt. Okay. Suppose there is another nucleus and this nucleus has a binding energy of 7 mega electron volt. So which nucleus is more stable? This nucleus is more stable because to separate proton and neutrons inside the nucleus you have to supply energy equivalent to 7 mega electron volt. Whereas in this nucleus only you have to supply energy equal to 5 mega electron volt to separate protons and neutrons inside the nucleus. So this is same thing that I have talked in the earlier of my discussion in the case of atom. Okay, so atom you have to separate electron from the nucleus. Here you have to separate the protons from neutrons. So that much energy you have to supply. Okay, so and this nuclear energy is basically very large. It comes out in mega electron volt. Whereas for atom you have ionization energy typically of the order of tens, hundreds or thousand of the kilo electron volt order. But here you have larger binding energies. Okay, so more will be the binding energy, larger will be the stability of the nucleus. So the more stable will be nucleus if it is have larger binding energy, because more energy you have to supply to that nucleus. So the measurement of the binding energy gives you the extent of the stability of the nucleus. Okay, so that's all for today. So thank you.